Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. I've just gotten off the phone with a clerk at the United States Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., inquiring about oral argument scheduled before the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, set for March 3rd, case number 241063, Munson P. Hunter III, petitioner, versus United States. This case was docketed April 8th, 2025. It is a matter where Mr. Hunter, who was charged with crimes, agreed to enter into a plea deal with the government, and he signed, as many defendants seemingly are doing more and more of, as part of the plea agreement, to waive appellate rights, meaning in addition to the myriad of constitutional rights a defendant like Mr. Hunter agrees to waive, such as the constitutional right to remain silent, to not be a witness against himself or herself, to have the right to confront witnesses against him or her, to have the right to due process, notice, an opportunity to be heard, and a fair and impartial judge and or jury when it's a jury trial, and of course the constitutional right to a jury trial where the government is held to the evidentiary standard of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Hunter attempted, after he signed that plea deal and that waiver of appellate rights, to file an appeal. It was dismissed, arising from the signature on that appeal waiver. Mr. Hunter filed a case in the United States Supreme Court. This is the ultimate authority as to what the Constitution says and or does not say. He is seeking, not just on behalf of himself, because this is national policy that the Supreme Court will make when SCOTUS rules on his appeal. If there are more grounds to appeal when a party signs away their appellate rights than the two that are recognized nationally, which is ineffective assistance of counsel, and if the judge sentences the person to more than the judge is legally authorized to do its sentencing. The confirmation is that oral argument is scheduled and it will be live streamed. Unfortunately, the public cannot watch the proceedings, but they can listen to the proceedings, and I have included a link in this description where you can, as a member of the public, if you'd like to listen to oral argument live on the 3rd of March, which commences at 10 a.m., you can do so. I've also been covering this case on this channel for quite some time. I find this case to be extremely important. There are a number of amicus, that's friends of the court, people that do not have a relationship to either the government or to Mr. Hunter, who have expressed their concerns formally to SCOTUS in briefs that they have filed. Why these waiver of appellate rights are a problem. Everything from innocent people sometimes agree to plead guilty. Another is that it offends the national policy that the public should have a right to understand what's going on in their courts. And these plea deals happen in secret. To the concerns of due process, to the public policy that a person should have the right to go to a higher authority if there's a problem that's occurred at the trial court level, and much more. I've assembled a playlist for you to watch or listen at your convenience, and I encourage you to read the filings. Now, why is this important for the many of you that are interested in the Idaho versus Kohberger case? It is because Mr. Kohberger, like a lot of defendants, waived his appellate rights when he pled guilty. And while many people are looking at the evidence, are concerned that he may not have gotten a fair trial, are concerned about whether there was guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, if there was some sort of coercion, all sorts of theories out there. The bottom line is that in getting a new trial for him, it doesn't really matter. As the situation stands right now, at least in my opinion, that I give under the United States Constitution, First Amendment, freedom of speech, because it does not appear that he is dissatisfied with counsel. His trial counsel still represents him today, appeared at a hearing in November on his behalf, months after he pled guilty and was sentenced, and still represent him in this lengthy unsealing process of documentation. And it does not appear, at least again, my opinion, based on speculation, commentary, opinion under the First Amendment, that Judge Hippler sentenced him to anything more than what the law required. This was a DP case, and he was sentenced to life. The Hunter case, depending on how the Supreme Court rules, may change things for people like Mr. Kohberger, because he will spend the rest of his life in prison until or unless either the governor of Idaho pardons him or he has a successful appeal. I've included a link to the SCOTUS website where you can listen to oral argument live, and that is where the parties on both sides, for the government as well as Mr. Hunter, will get up before the Supreme Court, have one final opportunity to argue their side. And although a ruling won't be made that day, a ruling is expected on or before the end of June 2026, by virtue of the comments, by virtue of the feedback, by virtue of the questions that the Supreme Court justices ask, there may be some indication as to how they might be leaning. This is an important issue, constitutional issue. I encourage you to learn about the case, to listen to oral argument if you can live, if not on replay, and to discuss it amongst other members of the public. Your opinion matters. Until next time, this is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.